The Galaxy S20 FE. It has borrowed some of the best flagship features from the already amazing Galaxy S20, and it comes at a much lower price point. And given this price, the S20 FE offers almost the same performance levels as the S20 or even the Note 20. You get 8 gigs of RAM and Exynos 990 high-speed octa-core processor. Now, be it multitasking or playing intense games, the S20 FE will be a very smooth ride. Launching apps, moving between them, just the overall experience, it's going to be really snappy and it'll be as fast as any other flagship from Samsung. It's got the same gorgeous AMOLED display with a 120Hz super smooth 2x capacitive touchscreen. So whether you're watching videos on YouTube or your favorite streaming service, you'll experience amazing picture quality, except it won't be able to play HDR 10+ content. And that's because the S20 FE is not a dynamic AMOLED display. As you can see that it shows HD because it's Super AMOLED, as opposed to Note 20 that says HDR, which is a dynamic AMOLED display. But hey, if you just look at their display from a distance, the S20, the Note 20 and the S20 FE, they don't really seem all that different. From a day-to-day perspective, the display experience would pretty much be quite similar. And it's got stereo speakers that supports Dolby Atmos even without earphones connected, so you get a really nice, immersive, loud audio experience. And even though you just get one variant with 128 gigs of internal storage, you can expand storage by another terabyte by adding a microSD card. You get Samsung DeX and wireless DeX, so you can get laptop-like experience on any of your smart TVs around, so you don't have to use any cables anymore. Now, there are a few things about the S20 FE that I found really interesting. Samsung took some features that it typically reserves for its high-end flagship phones, and it got into the S20 FE. For example, it's got the really fast UFS 3.1 internal storage, so your apps, your games, your phone, they're all going to boot up really quick. It's IP68 water and dust resistant. It's got Knox security, again something you see only in really high-end phones of Samsung. And it can wirelessly charge itself as well as reverse wireless charge other products like your Buds Live or your Galaxy Watch. So again, all of these things that you typically see in high-end flagship from Samsung has made its way into the S20 FE, which is really good. In addition to all of the above, you also get the full version of Samsung Pay, so you can tap your phone to make payments on any machine that accepts credit cards or debit cards. It's also got a 4500 mAh battery capacity, which is slightly more than what you get in the regular flagship Galaxy S20, and that's also because it's a slightly larger display, which does allow it to put in more battery capacity, and very frankly speaking, I think the Exynos processors can really benefit from that. So the S20 FE, a very easy phone to recommend to anyone who's got a budget of about $700 or 50,000 rupees. And I don't think I'll recommend any other phone just because no phone in this price segment even competes with the overall package that the S20 FE delivers. It's a pretty good balance of, features, design, camera, performance, and I hate to say the price also, which is relative to other smartphone prices in this segment. But yeah, I think it's a pretty good blend of everything. So that's everything great about the S20 FE, but how did Samsung manage to bring that price down? Well, it did have to cut some corners, and I think Samsung made very wise decisions. It removed features that they thought were not as widely used or were not as popular, and that helped them bring the price down. Let's quickly name a few. First, the build quality is not as premium. You don't get Gorilla Glass 7, which is the latest. The back is plastic, and the front, I'm not sure, but it's an older version of Gorilla Glass. The plastic doesn't mean it's bad, it's not as premium. Personally, the build quality is not a deal breaker for me. I like the matte finish they've given to this texture is good for me. Either ways, most people put on a case and then it doesn't matter what the material really is. So in my opinion, I'm good with the downgrade. Second, the maximum screen resolution is 1080 by 2400 and you cannot go beyond that like in the S20. And as I already pointed out, this is not a dynamic AMOLED display. Instead, it's a Super AMOLED display and so it cannot play HDR 10+ content. There's no 8K recording as well, but I didn't even think that was very useful to begin with. The S20 FE has an inferior optical fingerprint sensor as compared to the ultrasonic fingerprint sensors, which are faster and more secure. And finally, let's talk about the camera. So the primary lens in the S20 FE is the same as that you get in the S20, which means majority of your photos are pretty much going to be flagship quality because you do take majority of your photos using the primary lens. But the telephoto lens in the S20 FE is inferior to the one that you see in the S20, and the ultra-wide lens is also not quite as good. But I am going to do a full video comparing the photo quality from all lenses between the S20 and the S20 FE, and I'll put that video out pretty soon, so stay tuned. And some other minor things, in the box you don't get the 25-watt charger, and I'm not sure why Samsung did that, but it's not cool. Even with the M series and A series phones, Samsung gives a 25-watt charger. You do get a pre-applied screen protector, but you do not get any protective case or even earphones. So, conclusion time. The S20 FE is almost a flagship, but not a flagship. And don't get me wrong, I think it's a great phone. It offers the most value for money, flagship-like smartphone experience than any other phone in this price segment. But a flagship phone represents the most feature-loaded smartphone built using the most premium materials, delivering the fastest performance and gets the quickest updates. Flagship phones are like the VIPs of the smartphone world, and this phone is not that. And now, the moment of truth. Would I get the Galaxy S20 FE for myself? Absolutely. Now, my day-to-day usage depends more on the performance and the features of the smartphone, which I think it has very well borrowed from the actual Galaxy S20 flagship. Things it hasn't borrowed too well, like the camera, the build quality, the materials, are kind of secondary to me personally. But hey, if camera quality is really important to you, if the build quality is very important to you, you're pretty much limited to getting the most expensive flagship smartphones because those are the phones that offer you all of that. So that's it from me on the Galaxy S20 FE. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comment section below. And as always, guys, don't forget to drop a like, hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. I'll see you guys in the next one.